your man Kil.
And I'm Dr. Roz.
Doing what Dr. Roz does. If you wear that ponytail, seriously, don't wear that no more. Okay?
I am.
It's distracting.
It's distracting you?
Yeah, because you keep petting it. I think Boots is in here on your shoulder. Come on.
Boots is his dog. It's a longer one. Remember my other one really isn't this long, but I got
probably for a minute. You probably had me tricked because I probably didn't know you had plural. I didn't know there were more than that one. Do you have names for them?
No,
okay.
I'm not that.
Okay.
Not that crazy.
Cool.
Today, when it's raining, it's a rainy day, and I didn't feel like dealing with my real hair. It was raining over by my way.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, for real. I got my umbrella and everything.
Okay, cool. Cool. I'm sure I'll see that on a sunny day too. So, right. Today, what I want to talk about, I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and people have to realize that I have two different lives. I have an online life, and then I have my real life. In my online life, I like to talk about things like basketball, hip hop, sports, because my real life is spent dealing with marriage problems. That's the bulk of what I talk about. When my friends call me and I really want to talk about LeBron and free agency, there's a problem with marriage. Somewhere, it never fails. So, you know, Roz has gotten on me, why don't you tweet about more things with marriage? Because I want to tweet about sports. I want to tweet about the stuff that I actually care about. I care about marriage. I care about all y'all marriages.
And the reason why I ask him to tweet, because I'm not a
right,
tweeter.
She's the
Facebooker. And he
so I have to get more on that. But it's hard for me to talk about marriage because I talk about it all the time. It's just a never-ending... And this isn't even about giving people...
It's a passion, though.
Yeah, it's not even about giving people advice. I'm not talking about that. It's just... If there's a question on marriage, it comes my way from literally 30, 40 people. Like, so it's just all I talk about is marriage, and sometimes I get kind of marriaged out. But in one of the conversations, we came to a point of having this about, can you be too religious in your marriage? Which I totally 100% know that you can. I believe you could be too religious just in your religion, that you could just be too. Not saying that you're just too over the top with it. You know what I mean? I don't know if you ever met that person who, like, you call the answering machine and it's like, hey, I'm blessed and highly favored. God has blessed me. Psalms 35:21 says that this is the day the Lord has made and the Lord is good. And
but does that make them too
I'm not saying it makes them too religious. I met this dude once who used to go, I ain't gonna name no churches. He went to a church that I necessarily don't agree with. Not that he went there. I can care less where he went. I don't necessarily agree with the church and some of the messages that come out of there. But we were talking about hip hop. And he was saying that he was a gospel rapper. And he felt like all he should rap about is God. And that if you rap about anything other than God, like, that's just blasphemy. And I'm like, but money, is all you talk about God? Like, can somebody call you and say, yo, the Redskins just lost? Or are you gonna be like, what does that have to do with God? Like, I just think, like, with stuff like that, like...
What was he just saying about it? Because my best friend, she's an aspiring gospel singer, and beautiful voice. She's not going to sing anything outside of gospel. Okay. I don't care. You know, but we can have conversations about other stuff. Right. But when it comes to... She's very, very... She's like, whatever I do for the Lord will last. And she's very... very strict about that, but that does not mean that she does not have like this
I'm not saying. I guess, and then that's a whole nother.
I was just asking, is he that guy? Like,
I don't know because I just met him, and one of my homegirls hooked it up like, oh, he's a producer,
gotcha.
You're a rapper,
Gotcha.
Y'all should get together. So I just was meeting him, and he was just saying that that's all I can, and I'm like, that's cool, and even for your homegirl, that's cool. Like, that's the lane you want to be in. I just believe that you can rap about other things the same way you can talk about other things. Like Fred Hammond just dropped a love album that has nothing to do with God. You know, because I'm sorry, if I'm in the mood to get it in with my wife, do I really want to hear Mary Mary? You know, and
well, they got some nice.
No, I want to hear some R. Kelly. I want to hear some Trey Songz. Yeah. Why do people look at me like that? Who cares if I go to church? Who cares that I'm on the men's ministry? Who cares that I'm the treasurer? I like Trey Songz.
Okay.
I mean, no, you looked at me. You gave me that Christian look that I always get. And it's like, really? Like, I really gotta.
What's the Christian look?
Whatever you just did. We'll rewind and take that. Yeah, me neither. We'll look at it on the playback. But you gave me that look. Like, how? What? All right, Kelly.
I mean, no, because I need Maxwell and Luther. I get it.
Right. So all I'm saying is that I just believe that people can be too religious. You know what I'm saying? That is just like, and I'm not judging. I'm not saying that if people like, I know some people who feel like, look, Kil, I got to protect my eyes and ears from what I hear. I'm not talking about that. I totally agree with you. The word says flee temptation. So if your temptation is that, flee it. That's not mine. You see what I mean? So now don't bring your hoopla on me. Like, I've had people say, Kil, you know, I gave away my whole secular seat. Well, first of all, I hate that word secular. I don't know who invented it, but I hate it.
Why?
Because what is secular music? Music that's not talking about God. Now let me break something down for you. Now we're kind of getting off topic, but we'll talk about gospel. My beef with gospel is this.
Okay.
You want to know why hip hop has always been the voice of young people? Because it gives young people something to relate to. See, when Jay-Z opens his mouth and says, I'm from Brooklyn. If you're from Brooklyn, you have a connection with that person. If Jay-Z says, hey, you know what? I used to sell drugs. Now, if you sell drugs, now you have a connection with that person. If he says, hey, my dad wasn't there when I was growing up. Now, my dad... See, there's a connecting factor there. And that's why I'm sure from rock and roll up to hip-hop now, why these rebellious genres of music have always been the soundtrack for young people. What are you humming about? Why are you... Like, it's a church hymn. Why are you humming?
No, I'm just...
You disagree?
I don't disagree.
Okay.
I don't disagree.
But you're humming.
But I think I hear where you're about to go.
Okay, well, let me tell you what I'm about to do. Gospel music doesn't give you that. Gospel music is about praise and worship, which is fine.
I think it depends on the artist.
There's a genre of let me explain this to you. I didn't know that Donnie McKirkland struggled with his sexuality through his music. I learned that through a BET special. You've got 9 albums out, yet you don't talk about that.
I got you.
See, I can't relate to you.
I got you.
Now, if you talked about that in your music, think about how many other men or people who struggle with their sexuality may be able to hear that, but you don't talk about that.
I got you.
Kirk Franklin just recently opened up a couple of years ago about the porn.
Yeah, but I think his music has always been on the cusp of discussing issues, though.
I mean, I think it has too, but I can say that I can relate to Kirk Franklin because he's opened up.
Yeah, he's very open.
Fred Hammond, I don't know nothing about Fred. Where's Fred from?
Fred is from Houston.
Okay.
No, Detroit.
What's his story? Did he sell drugs? Did he have a gangbang? Like, everybody in gospel music, I just feel like was raised in the church, never did nothing wrong. I don't know nothing about you, so there's nothing. Why, as a young person, am I going to relate to? Why, as a 38-year-old man, why am I going to relate to your music? I love the music. I love the word. I love the praise and worship. But as far as getting the younger people involved in the music, see, that's what I'm more concerned with. So that's why I said, you know, for the dude who rapped and for your homegirl.
I think Mary does a good job. I think Kier Shear does a good job. I think Kirk Franklin does an outstanding job.
I mean, that's cool. See, I don't really rock with Mary like that. You know what I mean?
But you should, though, because they died.
Okay.
And
cool.
then if you watch the reality show,
the thing that what I think I see with Mary is they make gospel songs as similar as they can to R&B songs, and that's what really does it. Because one of their husbands is Doug, who's a secular music producer. Yeah. So he's able to give them. He's also
in a gospel.
I mean, that's cool, but what I'm saying is he's able to give them that same sound. Yeah. That can be mixed in. Like that God in Me song, you could mix that right. It was like, there's even a breakdown in it that was like the same breakdown as like in another secular song. So that's why I think they're able to kind of ride that thin line and why they're able to get that airplay. Yeah, they got this song now that's hot. Go Get It. Okay. That's my jam. And that's the thing, and truth be told, you may not even know what they talking about.
Go Get Your Blessing.
Okay, cool. Because you're Rosalind Acre Black.
Yeah, I know.
Some other people may not even know. They just hear the beat and just go.
I don't do that. I listen to the words of the song.
Cool. So all I'm saying is that I just believe that in your marriage, you can sometimes be too religious. Now, somebody may say, Kil, what does that mean? I don't know if you've ever heard the joke about, you know, there's a flood and there's a guy sitting on the roof of his house, and a boat comes by, and he says, hey, you need a lift? And he's like, nah, some other people may have not, so let me finish it.
I'm gonna let you.
You know, the guy says, no, I don't need a boat. God is going to save me. And he sends another boat. You need a lift? Water's getting hot. No, I'm good. God's going to send a third boat. Then he eventually drowns. He goes to heaven. He says, God, why didn't you save me? And God said, I sent you 3 boats. But when we're too religious, we really honestly believe that God's hand is going to come down from the clouds and lift us up in his bosom and lift us up into heaven. And it's like, that's what I mean by being too religious. I definitely think that you have to pray for what you want. You have to pray, but then you have to put something in motion. Faith without works is dead.
It's dead all day.
So, but that's what I mean when you're so religious. Like, I have faith. God is gonna find me a job. You filled out a resume? No, because God is gonna do it. Yeah. See, that's too religious.
You gotta do your part.
That's too religious. Like, you know, the God. So I'm just saying. And sometimes in our marriage, and I see it, and I've seen it, and I'll continue to see it. People are just too religious, and it's just kind of just like, you've got to put some things into motion, because there's always been this debate, and I really don't know it, so I need to do the research on it, about, because there are some Christians who believe that, you know, you can't get a divorce. Then I know there are some Christians who believe, well, you can get a divorce as long as it's for adultery. And it's been a fight amongst Christians for years, you know, about which way is the right way. And I've heard some pastors say left. I've heard some pastors say right. You know, so there are some people who feel like I have to stay in this marriage, you know. But I've talked to biblical scholars and deacons and pastors about, well, what if you're in an abusive relationship? Do you still have to stay? And then it's like, well, no, you got to get out of there. But then I'm like, well, what about if your husband keeps cheating on you? Isn't that like mental abuse or something? Yeah. You know? So it's one of those things where I just feel like all I'm saying is, you've got to try to figure out what you want to do in your marriage. If you want to get a divorce, you've got to figure out why I want to get a divorce. What are these reasons, you know, for? And then you got to pray on it.
Absolutely.
But I know people who are like, well, no, I'm not going to write nothing down. I'm not going to do nothing until God tells me to. You know, and I'm like, well, you have to take the initiative to say you're not happy, and be able to help verbalize why you're not happy. But I know people who are like, literally, I'm not moving and doing anything until God says move. Now, my thing is more so, hey, if you and your husband are going through it and you think about getting a divorce, you need to find a good lawyer. You need to find out the laws of your state and all that. You may not want to put in them divorce papers until God tells you to. But you need to have a plan. I'm sorry, I'm just a planner. We got into this argument one time at work about Johnson. We got into this big thing because Johnson, Bobby Brown was saying, Bobby Brown was saying you shouldn't have like life insurance and stuff like that. Because you're you're planning, and the Bible says, you know, don't worry about tomorrow, just focus on today. And I'm like, so I'm not supposed to have life insurance and things set up for my family for the future because the Bible says don't worry about tomorrow, plan for the day. And it was like, yeah. And I'm like, that's stupid. Stupid. But this is what I mean. See,
that's scary. He's a minister.
But that's how people take it. That is how people take it. That is literally like, okay, you know, live for the day. Don't worry about tomorrow. So, and if I'm planning and making all these arrangements, I'm worrying about tomorrow. But I'm like, no, you have to plan. That there's a practical side of life.
You are taking care of your family.
There's a practical side of life, and then there's a spiritual side of life. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where you have to understand that the practical side of things is that you have some people who are like, you know, I'm not working and I'm gonna just pray and wait for God to give me that job. But the practical part of it is you have to eat. You have a mortgage, or you have rent, or you have a car note, or you have insurance to pay for. There's a practical side to it. So I've been seeing it more and more lately, and I guess it's just me venting more than anything, that I just feel, and I really pray that people would understand that there's a practical side to life too. Oh, yeah. There's nothing, I totally agree 100% that, you know, there's a spiritual side, but I just also think that there's a practical side too. You can have all the faith in the world, but you can't not, okay, you know, hey, your car broke down, what you gonna do? Oh, I'm waiting on God to give me a new car? Well, are you looking for a new car? You know, are you even inquiring about doing the research to figure out what you need to get? So when God tells you, you know, go get the car, because I want to always be prepared. Like before me and T got all the studio equipment, I knew everything I needed. So when we got the money, it wasn't like, okay, now let me start researching. No, I had researched for days, you know. Before I got this MPC drum machine, I'd already read the manual on it because I didn't want any downtime before me coming from my ASR keyboard. That's why I used to make beats in the past. Okay. Going into this, I didn't want that downtime. So before I even got it, I read the whole manual. So when I got the machine, I went right into it. So all I'm saying is plan. That is what we have to do, people. Plan. If your marriage sucks, I'm not saying plan to get out. I'm just saying you have to be sensible and be practical and say, okay, these are the pros, these are the cons, you know, which way to lean. I'm not going to make a decision until I'm hearing from God. But all I'm saying is, you know, you got to be able to hear from God. And like I always tell people, at the end of the day, my close friends, I know their voices. So even if I don't got, if your name don't come up, when I say hello, I already know who I'm talking to because I talk to you on the norm. But if you don't talk to God on the norm, then you don't know God's voice. That's right. So you got to get in God's face when y'all are going through this. Me and Roz love the questions and all that great stuff, but you need to get in God's face before you come calling us and emailing us and everything like that, you know. So
God's face, or whoever your higher power is, whoever you deem your higher power.
Yeah, Roz does good at that. So that's all I'm saying. Nobody, please don't get offended. I'm sure I've probably offended so many people through these. Well, you know, I said the white people, and then I said, yeah. So that's what I do.
That's why I'm here to.
Right. That's why I do. I offend people, but it's all out of love.
That's why we work.
That's why we work. Because you're too damn nice, and I'm just an offender.
You think I'm nice? Oh.
Till Death Info. I think we've answered a lot of the questions. Yeah. We still got a couple more. We're gonna be banging out some more videos next week. So just hold tight if your question isn't answered. And for most of the people, we always, just so people don't think we will email you an answer to the question before we get to these videos. So we don't want people thinking,
just waiting,
So, but we still want to answer it via, you know, the camera too. So keep it locked. It's your man Kil.
And I'm Dr. Roz.
TillDeathInfo@gmail.com.